Okay. Again, I'm skipping the things that are kind of like, increase movement speed from 315 to 325. Okay, fine. That's good change, obviously, but it's certainly something worth discussing more. Luna, Eclipse Scepter, beam count limit per target removed. So you can blow the whole ulti on one guy, which I think is that too, like again, I think it's an obvious change. If you want to buff Luna, that is an obvious change to go for, because why should it be only 4 whatever jumps on one hero? Because of course it will nicely distribute when there's a free heroes, that will be fine. You can still auto attack, you can still use your nuke with the Minister. But here, if you're just chasing one guy with a big HP, it's like one-on-one team fight. So sorry, fight one-on-one. You just blow that ulti on him, and it makes sense to me that this is the change if they want to buff the Luna in this aspect. All right. And Moonglaive can now bounce back on the same unit if it already hit all other units nearby. So that is pretty significant too, I would say. Okay, we have some changes with the Lycan. Still don't like. I tried it and still don't like the jungle with the Lycan. Base damage increased by 5. We have Wolf's magic resistance increased from 50 to 80%, which is significant. That is definitely a good change. But they still have shitty HP, so still for me it's a hassle to an annoyance to the jungle as a Lycan. So if I don't run the gold, if I run the gold, it's better. So for me, that's okay change, but not really anything super. Medusa will have a Mystic Sticks now do pure damage to units in stone form. It makes sense to do that because obviously it's the one thing that you want to cast, but you just can't do it because obviously it doesn't do any damage to them. So right now you can take the mana because they will be kind of a stone form, so you can take the mana of them. You can do some pure damage to them while attacking them for the additional plus percentage of damage because you're doing more of the physical damage to them in a stone form. So I like the change. I like actually Medusa. I think a lot of people are playing her kind of wrongly, more passively than they should, and I'm definitely maybe gonna try it. We'll see what's gonna happen. Now the Meepo change. I was kind of thinking myself what to do with Meepo, and yes, the obvious thing is Meepo is not one hero. That's not the point of the hero. You're not gonna be doing amazing shit with one hero on the lane. That's just not gonna happen. He has like a little damage. The spells are just not really gonna do the difference. You can kill people with a bit of poof, really a net poof, some additional thing for your support. That's gonna be the kill, but. The problem is, it took too much time for you to reach level 6, reach the additional Meepo, so you can start stacking the jungle, killing the jungle, just running around, gaining more for that short period of time, because Meepo is a hero of momentum. If you gaining momentum, levels, items faster than the opponent team, you're gonna perform very well. If the case is that they are just pushing you and you are Meepo with same levels or a little better levels than them, dagger maybe, and going into Aghanim Scepter, you're not going to do shit. You just will wipe every single time. You're not going to do shit. So it makes sense to make it more accessible or sooner accessible to get the second Meepo. So right now we have Divided Withstand, leveling rebalance from 611 to 16 to 411 18. That's a big deal. Level 4 is reachable in 3-4 minutes. Pretty easy if there's no support on your lane or if you're playing mid. That is a level 4 is quick, very quick. I like this change. So you can start immediately pulling, immediately doing the stuff that you would do on level 6, which sometimes can be hard because it's already the time that it may be the gank may be happening. There's a night time already, so gank can happen before you reach level 6. So here you have a better window of opportunity to start your Meepo gameplay than you had previously. So I definitely like this change. Of course, there are a few things. Turn rate improved from 0.5 to 0.65. Earthbind cast point improved from 0.5 to 0.3. It is significant. The Earthbind, which is the net, that's still everybody can force staff break it with the BKB. So it's still what it is, but it's better to cast. It's way faster. You can turn way faster than cast it yourself. So that is pretty good. And remove 30% stat sharing on known Aghanim Divided Withstand. That's like I'm okay as soon as this applies. All right. So we have another changes, and darkness causes enemy vision to be reduced by 25%. Darkness is your ulti, so not that there's night that's gonna be reduced vision. It also applies to the creeps and wards, so that is pretty nice. is definitely another use to use the darkness for. So it's not just like it's night, let's pop it. It can be that case, but if you're gonna be ganking, it's night, you pop it. That's so you basically have additional reason to gang, because they will have limited vision even more at the night, which is already very significant limited vision. So that is definitely something that Nightstalker, he has to do something about that. He has to go through those ganks, so he has to do it, which I think is that's makes only sense for him to gank even more right now. Ignite is now dodgeable again, following up with the trend itself. And some other changes we have here. Items no longer trigger Essence Aura on an Outworld Destroyer. So, you had, like, I don't know, Magic won't really not, but you had Buckler, for example. You went for Mech, you just pop it, and there was a chance for you to get the Essence Aura. There's already like amazing chance to get the Essence Aura. You're doing the Banish, you're doing the Buckler. You probably would have it at some point to the maximum mana, right after like one item additional with using spells. On Phantom Assassin, Stifling Dagger is now dodgeable, which, that's obviously not too much damage, like single target, single cast, but the problem is that you can repeat that, so at some point when it's going to be flying on you, now you can actually dodge that. On the other hand, the same thing applies to the Venomancer, which I think this is a more useful one, because this cooldown, Spirit Lance, is 7 seconds. For me, that's one of the most annoying spells that I know from Dota. He can definitely drive you away from a lane. Like, he builds, if he's going like solo, he wants to annoy you, he builds like a Soul Ring and Tranquil Boot, but a Tranquil Boot is rework right now, so of course that may be not the case. But he was just casting on a cooldown, 7 seconds, Spirit Lance, and you can supply yourself with a regen enough to go through it. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, that is a pretty good deal, I think. Pretty good deal. Now, I would still classify this as an obvious one. Pudge can now use a Blink Dagger. I have no idea what people are complaining or would be complaining about Pudge and Venge having Dagger. That makes no sense to me. There's a Force Staff. You can do the same thing with the Force Staff. You can lock people with the Force Staff away from it, from the cliff. So what's the reason to not use Dagger? I believe Dagger is not worse, maybe slightly worse in some cases, because it costs more mana, 75 to 25, right? 25, yes, the Force Staff. So it costs marginally more mana. As a Pudge, we have Bottle, let's say. You have a Phase Boots. Let's say you have Power Threads, so give you additional mana if you switch into Power Threads. Fine. But that still is a significant number of mana that you're going to be using. It's not just to use Blink Dagger on a cooldown. That's just not going to happen, even with a Bottle. So, for me, there was no reason to not have Bottle on a Pudge. Plus, I believe Force Staff Hook is easier because it's traveling and then you release the hook. This is instant and you need to release the hook in a correct direction. So there's two things you need to do with the Dagger. You need to think about where you are landing in opposition to where the hero is moving. That's way harder than moving in direction already with the Force Staff and hooking. With the Dagger, it seems like there's more control to it. So I think Dagger hooks are going to be harder than Force Staff hooks, and still a lot of times you will be just hooking. So for me, Blink was fine. I'm going to build it because I'm going to try it as a Pudge. I feel I am pretty successful Pudge. But I need to try it first in a private game. I think it's going to be pretty hard. But of course, that's not issue of a Dagger that you can block people somewhere on the cliffs. That was issue of Force Staff of certain heroes working like that. There could be even Venge. Even if there was no Force Staff and Blink Dagger, somebody could blink, she could swap him and then swap somebody else. Like, it's just an issue of its own. So if you hook a unit onto an unpathable ledge, the unit gains free pathing for 5 seconds, which means, better the ulti. She can just go through every single cliff, around trees, above trees, above neutrals. Even, by the way, even neutrals have that. So even if you hook neutral, he can actually walk away from the cliff himself, which is pretty funny to see when he's walking, above the air, above everything, he's just walking back to this camp. So that's the change. That is not changed because of the blink. That is just changed because mechanically they felt like this shouldn't be the issue. Now the thing is, we have cliffs with trees. We have cliffs that are just cliffs. So cliff on a top, cliff on a top lane rune, and cliff on a bot lane rune on a top. Those are cliffs that are not there's no possibility of getting away other than you have a blink, you have a Force Staff, you have a PP. Okay? There's no way around to get away from those. Fine. The thing is, with those trees around, there's a way. That's not unpathable. There's a path, but it's blocked by trees. Well, you can have tangos, you can have killing blade, you can have a hero that destroys trees. So that to me is not unpathable path. So that shouldn't be the case. And so only 3 spots on the map about that. Top when it's around the tier 2 tower of the dire side. That cliff, the top rune cliff, and the cliff on the bot lane, the top cliff. That should be only the cases that you can block people there as a Pudge, and they will be put into the free pathing for 5 seconds. I think that's the case. But it's gonna be interesting. I definitely will buy the dagger and try it myself. But it has definitely issues. I think the dagger itself. All right, Pugna. We have some changes about the Pugna. Life Drain restores mana if it tries to heal you while you are full HPs when targeting heroes. That's I think pretty good, because sometimes the problem is the mana pool while you are healed fully, because he's stunned whatever he is. On the other hand, Decrefy damage on allies, amplification, or that amplifying the damage itself, reduced from 40 to 20% on allies. Enemies increase from 40 to 50%. So saving allies won't be such an issue. Or won't be such an annoying thing for them if there's a surprise lion happening. So that definitely makes sense to me too. All right. One thing about Riki, I really believe Riki is very annoying pick in some cases when feeders usually give him, which happened to me yesterday, give him too much in the beginning. 5 kills in 3 minutes. That happened. He gets that many levels that he basically kills you just with the blinking and the backstab damage. So buffing Riki, I would be careful about that, because he can be very useful, I think, right now even. So Smokescreen cast range increased from 425 to 550, and the important thing is Riki is no longer revealed out of permanent invisibility when he casts spells or uses items. So he can cast, Diffusal, or he can do Smokescreen, Diffusal, and still be invis himself. So you cannot really stun him while he's doing these things. He can activate BKB before jumping in, or he can jump in on an ally, and that's not going to break his invisibility, because it's when he starts attack from a blink strike, he'll be revealed. So you don't start the attack on the ally, so you're still going to be invis, which is kind of interesting. So that's the change with the Riki. Fine. But I think Riki is hero that you have to be careful about buffing, because he definitely is the hero to drive himself on a momentum. Rubick, we have 2 changes of Rubick. We have he can no longer steal Aghanim upgrade, or it doesn't work as Aghanim upgrade if the hero has the Aghanim upgrade. On the other hand, he has Aghanim upgrade himself, which reduces cooldowns from 20-18-16 to 5, and increases the cast range from 1k to 1.4k, and makes all stolen spells be considered to have their Aghanim's upgrade, which, again, Rubick these days is not used on a mid, and it will be hard for people to get the Aghanim from a support point, because you should support as a Rubick. You need Arcane Butte, you probably want to get Force Staff or Dagger, some item like that. So getting Aghanim will be not really so frequent to me, but it may be. Again, it's very, very obvious that it's not going to be every single game. Not even 20% of games that this Aghanim upgrade for that certain spell will be used, because you need to first steal that certain spell. You need to steal that ulti, which can be Enigma, which can be Magnus ulti, which is actually not Aghanim upgrade anymore, which is gonna happen eventually. Nature's Prophet ulti, so you first need to steal it. So that definitely is an issue on its own. I'm definitely not gonna be building Aghanim, as Rubick, or forcing that Aghanim on myself. All right, we are kind of I think ending this part, because there's a few things that I want to mention. Shadow Shaman, for example, change Mass Serpent Board's placement structure. I'm not really sure if it's similar to Dota 1, but I think it makes sense that they made it that way. It actually looks cooler how it's positioned right now, that you're gonna see probably in a video. So that's just a change itself. All right. Skeleton King, remove Mortal Strike active, which I have to say that spell to me was I didn't like it. I didn't like the spell. It was working in some cases, but it was for me kind of a too random spell. Like they were like, hey, this is a cool idea. Let's just you can take the HPs and the HP will be coming back. That's just brilliant, right? To me it was like, I don't know. I never was like amazed by that ability, and I wasn't thinking that's like the best idea in the world, and it seems like it was not the best idea in the world, based on right now these changes, of course, too. So Vampiric Aura now provides full effectiveness on range units, on every single range unit. So your Necro, they're gonna be healing themselves to Forge Spirits. That is a significant in itself. That's better rank the team fight of the team, let's say. Okay, that's of course other changes. Skywrath Mage Aghanim upgrade. We have a reduces Mystic Flare's cooldown from 60/40 20 to 20/10 and 0. Like there's a lot of Aghanim Scepter upgrades on heroes that, of course, Skywrath Mage is maybe more mid hero than others, so let's just go with that. The problem with the Mystic Flare is not necessarily the cooldown. The problem with the Mystic Flare is the mana requirement. Even on level 20 with Bloodstone, let's say, and Aghanim, let's say, you will have mana for 2. You have mana for 2 Mystic Flares and Silence and maybe Slow and your 1 nuke or 2 nukes. That's gonna be your full mana used immediately. Of course, in some cases, hero has 2.5k HPs and some certain magical resistance better than average hero, let's say. You can wipe him with the one combo. If you catch him, you can wipe him, sure. But your mana will be gone, so for me, that's again not an item that I would like to build. I'd like to get maybe Dagger, Force Staff, some mobility myself, or BKB if there's like a Pugna hero like that is just a direct counter against me. So for me, building Aghanim on this hero too is like, I don't know, that's the mana requirement. Sorry, the cooldown is not really an issue. It's more the mana requirement itself for the spell. So we have to see if anybody will be annoying enough to build it himself and use it correctly. Slardar, they're definitely increasing his usefulness because damage reduction is being increased. And we have mana cost removed from a sprint. So he can just use it on a cooldown wherever he wants to. So just running to a creep, creeps, let's say, he can use it, not really worrying about mana use. 50 was not that much mana, but then again, it's like a puck shift, okay? It would be slightly annoying if there was a mana requirement for it. So that to me is a pretty good change. And the speed, of course, you can see is increased slightly as the levels are going up. Now the change that I don't like is Slark. For me, Slark is a very good hero, very useful hero, and very annoying. Now we have Shadow Dance cooldown increased from 25 to 65, so immediately insane. From almost 3 times as much. 1 minute right now. 1 minute 5 seconds it is. The cooldown. That is a significant thing. On the other hand, Shadow Dance can no longer be revealed by True Sight. So Sentries, Dust, or Gem on you is not gonna do shit against it. So my problem with this is I like to do something about heroes with these type of like public abilities, like Invis is a public ability. If you buy Sentries or Gem, the Invis is basically nullified, okay? In some cases, okay? So as a support, I can work around it. I can buy Sentries, put it on the ground before we push when there's a mirror on ulti. Then we see everybody just running around, running towards us, that they think like, yeah, we got them. And we have, of course, the vision of our own there. So I like to do something about that. Right now with the Shadow Dance, can no longer be revealed by True Sight at all. It definitely diminishes my chances to survive as a hero. I can stun towards the black smoke, sure. I think it's fine overall. I think the cooldown makes it fine, but in some cases I'm definitely gonna be fairly annoyed with some heroes that don't have like AoE stun. I'm definitely gonna be annoyed. I can tell you right now. Spectre, I definitely like this. Spectre for me is a hero that probably takes too much time for me to get going, and I feel very passive playing Spectre. But you can now continuously use reality on your illusion, so you can jump from illusion to illusion to illusion. There's no, if I'm sure, there's no cooldown to it. Reality cast point improved from 0.3 to 0, so there's no like cast point. Basically, how fast your fingers are, that fast you're gonna be TPing over the map. Of course, it's a kind of gimmick. In some cases, you can fool around of TPing on heroes when you just basically get a kill. Let's say you can just TP on those 3 guys, then TP on the main target. Sure, you can fuck around with that, I guess. But it is pretty good because if you kill a guy instantly and there's another guy that's running away, because the spirit follows it forever, basically until it ends. So you can just jump in and kill the other guy. So I think it is significant enough for me to make the hero interesting, because this is an additional thing. It's kind of skill thing to use. As I said, one hero already dying, one hero running away, we have 1 second UTP there. That is kind of skill thing to do, and I like that. It's not for me just gonna be feeling like very passively, like I can just TP once and just out attack the target that I'm closer to. Spirit Breaker is the next thing. That hero is a cancer of a public. As I was talking about the Draw Ranger, not from my perspective, but it is definitely annoying hero and very easy hero to perform with, I think, because the you need out attack, and if your bashes do happen, there's very little things that I can do, for example, as a support or as a carry farming. If bashes do happen, that's insane damage. So right now, what we have here is a base attack time nerf from 1.7 to 1.9, and greater bash no longer works while doomed. That is significant. Again, bringing the doom, as I said, to be kind of the counter to the annoying heroes, Huskar, the Berserker's Blood. There right now we have a Greater Bash no longer working while doomed, so I lifestealer too, so Doom is definitely becoming, even though it's played as a public hero on a publics, as a pop type of I'm gonna get my Midas in a jungle, devour and then build my items, it is kind of countering these other pop heroes with their other pop abilities, so that to me is definitely making Doom even more interesting to play. Now Nether Strike now uses 1.2 cast time instead of 1 second magic immune delay, which means can be interrupted as a result. Interrupted meaning the cooldown is not going to be used. Okay, so I have a clip with the Invoker, I do Cold Snap, Tornado, and I think Defending Blast. And of course he's like, after the shit happens, he's like, okay, I'm gonna do it again, So it like immediately starts the animation again without you clicking it, so you have to be, of course, kind of careful. I'm not really sure if it takes the distance that I didn't try, which is my mistake. If it takes the distance and ignores it, because you already casted it, so it's just performing the animation. It's like, okay, he's done the animation, you blink away, he's still gonna hit you, because he done it already, because there was an immune time, basically already performing the move, right? Right now, I feel it works the same way. If he's already performing the animation once clicked, you can cancel it, but it's gonna still happen nevertheless the distances. I'm not really sure that's the case. To me, that'll be fine. I would probably like to see it because it kind of makes sense. But yeah, you can interrupt it, which I think is very good, because it makes no sense to me. Why can I? He's there. The cow is sitting there doing this. Why can I do shit about that? So to me, it makes sense, and it definitely helps a lot of supportive heroes like Lion, Lena, hard to say. But Dazzle could be the one to Invoker. He just jumps on you, you cold snap him. It kind of. Now, Treant Protector. That hero, the change was too much. I think I don't want to bullshit you, but I think the increase of win ratio was around 15% plus, maybe? Around that number after the change. So, the Living Armor being global thing, and of course it gives you 7 instances, it gives you that regen, the block damage. It was a very good spell. Right now they were nerfing it progressively through the versions after that. Right now we have cooldown rebalance from 15, which was a straight away cooldown, to 32, 26, 20, 14. So this means you need to level up your Treant Protector even more. So right now they're putting even more pressure for Treant Protector to get the levels. So Treant Protector from offlane, and by the way on a public type of offlane, I can get levels easily. So for me, that would be hero to play on offlane, probably just. Pulling, I don't think it's that fast. Living Armor, of course, on a public for me. Living Armor mana cost increased from 25 to 50. That is a major thing. Again, as a support, like, it's gonna be limiting you this cooldown and this mana cost. Of course, the cooldown is gonna maybe take care of the mana cost because it's 2 times that. So obviously, when you're gonna be using it, the mana cost is not such a significant thing because the cooldown is already that much, right? If it makes sense. But still, it's 2 things that are slightly more annoying. So definitely, this hero for me loses a little bit of the power, even more, as it was the reduction of the what they are called, instances themselves of the Living Armor. Okay, we have some nerfs of the Troll Warlord, which, it's fine damage-wise and a movement speed bonus-wise. That's okay. Interesting buff is a Frozen Sigil of Tuskar, or Tusk. Now requires a constant number of hits, so it doesn't matter what type of damage or how much damage you have. It's a free 4/4, so free on level 1, and Hero's Word for 1, so it needs 3 hits from any hero, or any amount of heroes, or and others 0.25. So everything else other than the heroes need to hit this 12 times, right? For level 1, which is pretty significant because you could just kill it with anything, Eidolons, just killing it. But right now, obviously, that's not the case because it needs a certain amount of hits, which I think is smart because obviously late game wise that was a one-hit shot. Right now it still needs 3 hits, so it can be more significant or live longer to kind of help you in a team fight more. Vengeful Spirit can now use Blink Dagger, and if you nether swap unit onto an unpathable ledge, the unit gains the free pathing for 5 seconds. The same thing that happened with the Pudge. It's not again issue of the Blink Dagger to me, it's issue of the cliffs, the certain free cliffs that are on the map that work like that. That's just the issue to me, and so it's fine. That's that's okay. It's not for me again the issue of the Blink Dagger. Now the Venomancer, we have some buffs. Venomous Gale and Poisonous Nova no longer ignores Invis and Fog units, which I think is to make sense because I know where the hero is, but I just can't do it. I just can't release my shit because obviously it's not gonna hit him. So right now it's gonna hit him. And Poison Sting DPS, which is a passive right click of his, or result of the right click, it's just on you as a DPS, or damage over time, whatever, no longer dispels healing or disable dagger. That is, again, kind of a thing that is balanced to the buffs themselves. And Plague Ward's XP bone increase from these numbers to these numbers. Just numbers. Corrosive Skin as a Viper no longer works while... Ta-da! Doomed! Yes! Doom again! Making appearance, nice. That is I think this is a pretty significant thing. That's his passive basically. If you hit Viper with out attack from previous version even spells, so just orb there or stun there or any damage over time, if you just hit it with anything, you're gonna have the Corrosive Skin debuff or effects on you, which is a movement speed slow and attack speed slow. That is pretty significant. That allows Viper, if he has enough HP pool to say, or if he's effective pool HP pool, let's say, which can be evasion too, he can just slow down the whole team attacking him to a point that they're gonna lose the team fight. Okay, so that is definitely significant. Again, buff to Doom them himself. We have other changes. Now we have some changes with the Warlock, that the Fatal Bones now link the closest units to the initial target together, instead of choosing randomly in AoE. That to me is fine. Both kind of do work, I would say. I tried both and they do work. They make sense, both of them. So obviously right now you can be more precise with there are creeps, so you're not going to cast it towards the creeps, you're going to cast towards where the heroes are more. So it's a little change that you cannot just cast on the creeps and it's going to affect randomly the heroes and creeps themselves. And other changes, of course. Focus Fire remains sticky on a target you cast it on as a Windrunner, so if you switch the target and you go back to the original target, the attack speed bonus will resume. Now items. That we are getting to the point of the interest, I would say, because that's also one of the significant changes of that are happening right now. So movement speed of the basic animal courier, and that has a reason why this happened. From increase from 300 to 350, so it's faster, obviously. HP increase for 45 from 45 to 75. That means that it won't be able to be one-shotted straight away. But then again, it's not that fast to run away, so it's faster than the normal hero without boots. So one hit does not mean necessarily that it's gonna die. That's what I'm seeing with that. So, but then again, any range hero will kill it nevertheless. But then again, Bounty Hunter may not get the movement speed to do it in the beginning if he doesn't have the boots of speed. There's a change. Recipe cost increase from 1.3k to 1.375. Okay. Which obviously is the case with the BKB. They're trying to nerf that. As you know, you have right now 4 seconds as the lowest number of the BKB duration. So right now this is additional nerf to the BKB. It seems like it's never gonna stop. Of course, this is a minor thing, but still, it's never-ending story. It seems. Blink Dagger. That's a change I think directly towards like a hero like a Pudge, for example. So damage disables no longer ignores self-damage. Rot will trigger it, as you can see. HP from Soul Ring will not. But the Rot himself, as you can see, is just even mentioned there. So with the Pudge, that is the case. But then again, of course, if you want to run away and you Rot the guy, and nobody's attacking you, just Rot the guy, you finish the guy, and you still have 3 seconds, That is significant if you want to run away, because his team can just get there in those 3 seconds, stun you, hex you or whatever, disable you. If you didn't have these 3 seconds, which means the rot wouldn't be affecting the dagger cooldown, you could get away probably way faster. And actually, Blast of Knife gives you plus 10 damage from its components. Blah blah blah. Bottle gold cost increase from 600 to 650. That to me is, it's always on a public, of course, which of course is the game itself. That's the 10 millions and millions of games played. So that's why I'm referring to it, because it's more going to be played on public than in competitive. Gold cost increase from 600 to 65. There can be a case when somebody takes the courier to bring them a fucking magic stick. I had that happen. There was like a circlet of fucking ability running away from my base, already on midway to it. I'm like sitting there as a mid hero wanting my bottle. I'm like, what just happened? What just happened? Right now, 50. It's a 1 creep, but it's a 1 creep. You don't have to have that. It then definitely can reduce your effectiveness on the mid a little bit in some cases. Interestingly enough, some changes with the consumables like Clarity Potion, and we have a Tango and a Healing Salve is no longer shareable, but can still be used on a target's ally. So what it means, you still can click it on ally and give him this regen. Same with the Healing Salve, right here. Okay, gold cost is increased also to 115. The Tango is the same thing, so we have a little bit different thing. We have a charges increase from 3 to 4. Gold increase from 90 to 125 is no longer shareable. I think that's the case of stealing it from a courier, maybe, because like what could be the other thing that I cannot just send it towards him? Hard to say to me. Like, I can buy fucking salve and send it to somebody else, but right now I need to take the salve and give it to the guy. Declare to give it to the guy, the Tango. With the Tango, I even need the Tango can be targeted on an allied hero to create 1 charged non-stacking Tango item in their inventory. If the inventory is full, the item will be placed on the ground. This item has a 60-second cooldown. What? What's the reason? So nobody can steal it? Like, that's the reason? It's not really happening to me. Maybe that could be, by the way. People are kind of forgetting that, okay, we are playing with our 2,000 plus hours, 3,000 plus hours matchmakings, but sometimes we forget that there are people who play with 10 minutes of matchmakings, 0 minutes of matchmakings, and the dude is like, oh, Tango on a courier, well, let me take that. That may be the case, that they want to prevent these type of fuck ups in the game. Like, I don't see a reason to do it, but that's okay. So we have other things that are important, which is the gem price again. Cannot be killed. Price is more and more and more. 900 right now. Hand of Midas and a Helm of Dominator. Transmute, which is the active ability that gives you the gold and the XPs, no longer works against Necromancer units. As you see my Invoker gameplay, there was a Necro level 3. I clicked my Midas on a Necro, range 1, whatever, or whatever was left, because we had 2 Midases. So one guy killed one, I killed the second one. It was so easy. It was 2 clicks of easiness. So right now it's not possible anymore. Dominate can no longer control Necromancer units. And we also do have buff of Necro duration, which is 5 seconds plus. So Necro is definitely being boosted, not because of the duration, but obviously this is a pretty big deal. On a public, you will see on a carry, on a jungle, on a mid even. If you're playing Invoker, you can do that. I actually like to have a Midas as an Invoker because it gives you, that hero works of XPs, works of money too. So that kind of gives you both things. So that is obviously a pretty huge buff to the Necro Mikon. 2000 for Hyperstone right now, and interestingly enough, Lycan being reworked with the Lycans is blocking all the spells, and the spell is basically not going to be casted. It's going to just pop and nothing happens. Right now you can cast it on your ally, so if it's off the cooldown you can cast the Lycan's active effect on the ally. And of course the cooldown goes on a cooldown himself, and the buff ends and does not trigger another cooldown. If the cooldown ends and the buff has not been used, the buff ends and does not trigger another cooldown. That is obviously the case. So that is interesting change. I'm just kind of thinking of like what heroes are building Lycan. Could be Storm, could be Weaver. Those are usually heroes that need the Lycans, okay? Because they are kind of in their face of the enemies. There's Lycan pop. Okay, that's the time for me to, for example, go back, storm away, or use my ulti or Shukuchi to get away, because I don't have the certainty of there's not going to be a stun or some disable or doom. So we'll see how that's going to be used. I'm going to try to play a hero for it because I think it's an interesting change. It definitely can work out pretty well with these heroes, so I have to just see in the game. We have some changes about the Maelstrom, bettering it from 500 range to 900 range, which is a definitely significant change. We have also, as you can see, the chain lightning is the same, 500 to 900. So they're definitely improving the Mjolnir, which I think it needed a little bit, so that may be it. The duration of wars is from 6 to 7 minutes, and killing observed wards now grants a 50 gold bounty, which I believe that was needed because, for example, I am Radiant support and I'm trying to deward the bot lane pool, which is very difficult because basically you will need 2 wards to deward the full camp if they kind of do it some certain way. Because there's such a huge place. It's from death tree to death tree. On the top you can even do it. You can block 2 camps with it. You know, the 2 main camp, the big camp, and right now it's a small camp. So you can build the small camp and the big camp itself, both of them. So there's a lot of, not skill, but perception needed to kind of devour that camp and successfully. Okay. So the thing is that you're gonna be rewarded for it. It makes sense to me, and I definitely am happy about that. That's one thing that I like as a support. That I will gain actually something for doing something. That I believe the reward is needed or was needed. So we have a barrier AoE increase from 500 to 900. So similar to the Mjolnir, definitely boosting this effectiveness to just pop it. Nevertheless, where you really are in a team fight, it's going to be affecting other people. Alright, we have the other things, blah blah blah. And to movement speed bonus increase from 12 to 16%, that's why I was kind of saying that Bloodseeker could be using Sensation, Mask of Madness, and a Phase Boots. That would be effective build actually these days for Bloodseeker. I'm going to probably try exactly this build with the movement speed world. We did the Tango. There's a rework of a Tranquil Boot. So right now you cannot activate the Tranquil Boot, but the Tranquil Boot itself has significantly more. This is the last one, and which is a 3 HP per second. Right now it's a 10 HP per second. So 2 plus, you know, more than Tango basically regen. So if you Tango and Tranquil Boot, that's an insane regen. It's basically a passive regen, and the result is that nobody can hit you though. Nobody can hit you, creep. Anything that hits you is gonna disable it. So the problem obviously is that if you're playing mid hero, if you're playing one-on-one lane, the Tranquil, you're not gonna use it. It's gonna go on a cooldown of 13 seconds. I think, yeah, 13 seconds. That if somebody hits you, so it's not used in these cases. But as a support it just runs on the lane, tries to kill. Okay, he's on like 50% of HPs. He can regen from gank, roam to roam. He can just regen his HPs passively without activating it, without worrying about it. So that to me is used more in this case, and definitely, for example, I tried to play Meepo. I'm like, okay, I built Tranquil because I was thinking the old way, and it was useless. It was kind of like, you know, I cannot activate it, I cannot control it. It was not really useful for Meepo in a jungle. So that was the case. We have other things that don't really do too much to me, so that's gonna be it for this video. I think it was pretty long, but what can you do? It's a change that will be active for at least 1 year. We're gonna get probably some, you know, B, C version of this version, but of this update. But that shouldn't be that significant. There's definitely these changes. Some of them are obvious, as I said, meaning the dodgeable things, the things you can dispel, Battle Hunger, you can dispel the Aberrant Shield. It makes sense more in a gameplay-wise, like, okay, shit is flying on me, I use something to dodge it, you know, dagger, whatever, smoke, whatever it is, you know, invis. It makes sense. Gameplay-wise, that makes sense. If I look at it from like a new point, like I'm a newcomer playing games, but I never play Dota, that makes sense to me. That there's shit flying, I can avoid it with some certain abilities, some certain items, some certain spells. So that to me is a positive thing. They're obviously buffing Doom. I like Doom. He can definitely disable a lot of shit, a lot of active abilities. I do like Bloodseeker, I have to say, the changes, because I believe the movement speed is the key here. That you can just be anywhere very fast, and right now with the global first being in effect, I think that's going to be a pretty significant change. I'm definitely going to try Bloodseeker from mid, and I think it's boosting exactly Bloodseeker from mid, because, you know, teamfight is going on a bot lane or top lane. They are 2 against 2. It's kind of that type of fight. You're going to be gaining advantage on the mid too, based on what's happening on the other side of the map. So I definitely like that. The Pudge with the dagger, the Venge with the dagger, that to me is fine. For me, that is a gonna definitely require some skill and it takes time. It takes time to blink and hook. There's a kind of confusion millisecond that the hero is like, what the fuck just happened? And then he starts hooking. So I think you can definitely do something about that, but we'll see. Of course, I have to learn it first because the 4 stuff is way easier in my opinion. But all the changes, in the end, I do like them. I think it's interesting again, to play Dota because there's such an amount of new things. Meepo, I'm definitely gonna play. Maybe this is the time that Meepo will be playable on a public setting, because a lot of times I had like a stupid idiot, like, okay, Meepo is not a carry, I'm gonna fucking pick another carry. Then we were like, our lanes were terrible, and at this point, level 4 having 2 Meepos, I think it's gonna be significant enough to play it on a not regular basis, but way more than I used to. So that's gonna be it with the gameplay, with the patch itself. I'm definitely gonna be making a gameplay videos. I already want to play Bloodseeker, Brute Mother. I want to play Brewmaster, and these type of heroes that received pretty significant changes. Lich too. I hate Lich, but hated Lich. But right now with the XP gain, I want to see how different it is, how much it gives him. Definitely, I'm gonna be leveling the cooldown on a sacrifice itself. I'm gonna be leveling that. So we'll see. I'm definitely excited about the version. So that's gonna be the video. I hope you watched it. If not, then never mind. It's a long video, I know. It's let's not make it longer. But so I'm gonna be playing these heroes, updated heroes. I'm gonna be playing, of course, next week because I don't believe, as I said, that's gonna be happening this week. I think it's too fast for them to actively, make it work in one day or whatever amount of days they will have. I think it's gonna be happening next week. So that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. I may stream some of it. Of course, the streaming is difficult because I have a pretty bad delay when I'm streaming and spiking a lot, so for me it's a kind of pain in the ass to stream. And a pain in the ass to play. I cannot play certain heroes when I'm streaming, like that's just not gonna happen. So we'll see what's gonna be happening with that. But so far, thanks for watching. That was the video. Longer, but what can you do?